Hello, I'm Marcy McDonald from Pacific Northwest Suburban Homesteading. Today I'm going to make Cowboy candy relish. It's a variation on regular cowboy candy, which is sliced jalapenos that are candied. Instead, I chop it up and bake it into relish, which makes it an even more versatile condiment to be added to soups, stews, tacos, chili, spread on bread, what have you. It's a very popular item in my house, and now I'm going to share it with you.
I grow a lot of jalapeno peppers. I use many of them fresh, or we cut and freeze them for use over the winter. This last season, I tried a new way of using my plethora of jalapenos, Cowboy candy. I looked up several recipes online and ended up combining a few different ones to get the flavor profile we wanted. Then I decided, at Scott's suggestion, to make relish instead of the traditional wheels. I water bath canned half pints to make it shelf stable for storage. It is perfectly acceptable to make smaller batches and refrigerate rather than canning if you prefer.
As always, we want to give a good rinse to everything before we use it. The next step after washing our jalapenos is cutting them and seeding them. Because jalapenos have a lot of capsaicin, I'm going to wear gloves to protect my hands. I've discovered that by using a small metal measuring spoon, I can scrape the seeds out much more efficiently. We don't need to remove all of the seeds for cowboy candy, but I like to remove most of them because there gets to be quite a few when you have this many. I'm starting with 4 pounds of jalapenos, so a lot of seeds. I remove most of the seeds, not necessarily because of heat, because my husband really likes hot peppers and he likes spicy things. A lot of people believe that the heat is in the seeds of a chili pepper. It's actually in the inner membrane. So I scoop out the seeds for texture reasons, because you don't want a gazillion seeds in something you're spreading on your bread or you're putting into your soup or stew or what have you. Now that we have all of the peppers cut into reasonable size pieces and I have my garlic all prepared, and it's time to run the food processor. I'm going to turn the fan on because the capsaicin that I was getting sprayed with just cutting them was making my nose run, and I don't want to end up with a face full of capsaicin and essentially pepper spraying myself as I went through the food processor. Almost there. I think we're good to go. Now that we have everything all chopped up, we're ready to actually combine it and make it into the relish. To start with, we add the apple cider vinegar, add in turmeric, cayenne, black mustard seed, salt, grated ginger. We use the pre-squeeze or pre-chopped stuff that comes in this tube, but fresh grated works fine. We add the sugar. This is candying, so this is a lot of sugar. Not healthy, but it tastes really good. Bring it up to high heat and stir it until the sugar dissolves completely. And we've got it to boiling. It feels like all the sugar has dissolved, and now we add the jalapenos. No, maybe there's a bit dissolved still. I'll trim that down a little. You want to simmer, not burn. Now let's carefully add in our jalapenos. The original recipe said to simmer it for about 15 minutes until the jalapenos started to turn a dark green and begin to absorb some of the brine. But because we're making a relish, it's a little bit different. So we'll cook it for a bit with a lot of foam on top. A jelly-like consistency when it's all done. So we want to cook down some of that liquid to thicken up a little bit. So now we wait. Yeah, I'm not sure I like this foam, so I'm gonna see if I can skim some of it off. I have no idea why it's foaming. Why it's all foamy. Maybe I introduced too much air in the food processor. I don't think it's going to hurt anything. It's just I want to be able to see the relish so I can see the consistency, so I know when it's time to take it off the heat and put it in the jars. Yeah, I'm not sure what the deal is with this. It's just foam. Got it bubbling nicely, so we'll just see how long it takes to cook it down a little bit. Probably a good idea to trim that down a little. Oh, that sugar, we don't want to scorch it. Really like the consistency of this. So it's ready to go for sure.
At this point, if you don't want to water bath can your Cowboy candy, great. Take it off the heat and let it cool enough to refrigerate. Congratulations, you're done and you can enjoy adding a dollop to many different dishes. I'm going to can mine. I have included a link in the description to my recipe, which includes canning instructions. I will be making a video specifically on water bath canning soon to show you the process for this and other recipes.
Our jars are sterilized, and now let's start putting relish in them. We fill these until we have a 1/2 inch headspace. Okay, so damp paper towel, just wipe the edge down. Good. Everything was pre-washed. It's good and tight. And let's pop that in the canner. I'm putting on the lids and the rings for the last 2 jars. I'll put these in the canner and we'll be ready to process these. About a good inch of water, so just put the lid on and turn up the temperature and process these. Once we bring it to a boil, we'll process them for 15 minutes and then we will pull them out and we have Cowboy candy relish in a jar. Now it's time to take them out of the canner and put them on the counter to cool for the next 12 to 24 hours until they seal. One thing to consider when you're cutting peppers is possibly wearing safety goggles, the kind like they wear on science shows and things. I wear glasses, so pretty much I don't worry too much about splatter and stuff from cutting peppers. But these guys are probably a pretty heavy duty capsaicin load. And it was actually making it was kind of tingling, so I sneezed a few times and was having a bit of a runny nose when working on these, which tells me there's a fair amount of capsaicin floating in the air as I'm cutting them. I've had no problem before with this. A lot of times I cut outside when I can, but this time of year you really can't because it's too cold and wet in our area. But wearing safety goggles will keep capsaicin out of your eyes, and you do not want to mace yourself. Use larger bowls than you think you're going to need. I had a hard time towards the end as I was cutting them because the bowl I started out with is really too small. And I had to go to a larger bowl for the seeds and stems. Cutting peppers can be very messy. No matter how careful you try to be, seeds tend to fly all over the place. When I can, I cut them outside.
And there you have Cowboy candy relish. Thanks for watching. Until next time, be curious, keep an open mind, and never stop learning.